Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's Free Enterprise race. I am Baka Shinobi, and I am joined by Sonny Wrath. Sonny, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Baka. Ready to see some absolutely beautiful free enterprise play from Bigdunka and LockeColeLive here in this beautiful Fabul Gauntlet.
Indeed, this is a accelerating race. I think we're in the second round of Swiss, but we've got two one-win runners going for us. Black Coal did have the bye from the first week, but Bigdunka also went and triumph over his first round opponent. So we're going to go and have to see what gets pulled out for this race. We still have our normal flags of 5 random objectives, standard shops, standard treasures, and no characters are excluded from the seed, so there'll only be one duplicate. And we'll see some pretty interesting stuff. Are there any objectives you're hoping to see?
Defeat Wyvern, honestly. I would love to see the objective of Defeat Wyvern come up.
I see that you're merciful and kind to our runners. I'm a big fan of, let's see, what am I the biggest fan of right now? Giant's fun, but it's sometimes overplayed, but music is always good to hope for, I think. So let's hope for a music required seed.
Now, music actually was on the number 2 spot of the objectives that I'd love to see on this seed.
So you go for the mean first and then for the fans, and I go for the fans first and then for the mean.
Absolutely.
I'm glad. Maybe we'll both get happy when we need to go and find Wyvern and complete the giant, but first clear music.
But what if we have Wyvern with music?
Oh, then we'll get a lot of short samples of that music, I think. But we do have, with the starter kit, we likely to have a Star Veil, so it's something that we might not go and have runners have to walk out of that cave as often, where they'll just find Wyvern, discover they don't have their Star Veils, and get roasted and toasted right away. They'll go find Wyvern, be unprepared for that, get roasted and toasted, and then adjust their agility, anchoring, or battle speed to go and get their Star Veils off.
You go back in and be just fine.
But we are starting, and this is going to be an interesting seed because we do have an Edward start. Who's our second character? Sid. Sid will help carry out, run out some of Edward's lack of battle power, and starting with a tower key.
Nice key item to find, one that definitely merits getting underground very quickly, since 2 checks can be knocked out just like that. But with these 2 characters, doing stuff underground really won't be too easy. Just
I agree.
Due to Edward's low health, and then Sid hitting like a truck early is nice, but underground he drops off a little bit until he has levels.
I agree. Sid needs a fair bit of help to start scaling, but here we get our objectives, and it looks like I think I saw one of our objectives we're right in line to go and take care of. The last one, I believe, is defeat the boss in the super cannon room, which you need the tower key for, and oh my, our runners already have it.
Yes, that was a nice objective to see. They will have to get Rydia as well as get Tella, defeat the boss at the Baron Castle basement. That was almost really tough to say. And defeat Dark Elf, specifically in the dragon form.
So no going and trying to there is technically a way to defeat Dark Elf without the Twin Harp. It's if you go and fight the Dark Elf without the Twin Harp, you don't go and get me attack you, you get you fools. As the Dark Imp doesn't go and cast spells, he just starts beating you for 999 points of damage. However, as with any physical attack in this game, if you use a Moon Veil, you can avoid it. So you can go and technically defeat the Dark Elf form without going and summoning the dragon form if you go and equip yourselves with moon veils or have some way of cheesing that. The dragon form goes and bypasses that restriction.
That is very, very true. And we saw a poison axe available in the Damascene Armory that Locke equipped onto Sid. That's actually a pretty nice weapon to have, just because Sid will get a lot of damage going out with that weapon. Bigdunka checking Mist Cave and finding CPU at the demist spot. So that's not entirely a fun fight to find there.
Well, it's a fun fight to find there rather than on Hobbs, because we find Golbez on Hobbs guarding Yang. I don't know about you, but I think I'd be skipping Yang the seed.
I have to agree, because the only word I have to say to Golbez on Hobbs this early on is just ew.
Yeah, we could use Star Bells to go and reflect some spells back. LockeCole using some good tech and hiding Edward. So, fun fact about Golbez, he only kills your visible characters. If Edward's hiding, he doesn't count towards that 2-character limit to come out of that fight and survive. So, the Shadow Dragon's not going to kill anyone. Edward's going to be able to come out and maybe get an action before the Unihorn, whatever goes and cleanses our paralysis, gets thrown. But it's still a question of damage.
Yeah, especially since Golbez's spells can still do quite a bit of damage. I mean, he does have Virus in his arsenal, and that'll still be quite painful. But with the Star Veils going out, the spells aren't going to be all that much of an issue.
Agreed, and 300 damage from that virus is definitely survivable, though. It's not ideal. And Golbez he's going to go down pretty quickly, I think. Yeah, Lit 3 is going to go and help, and I think the next hit is going to take out Golbez.
That it definitely will. And Golbez with his classic, why?
You would think that he would be a bit more reflective about his failings, but seems like he's not terribly keen on that.
You could call it a shortcoming. But that was a quick third character to obtain.
Yeah, that was not terribly bad. It did cost 2 Star Veils, and well, I guess we're not going to find the alt gauntlet at our favorite spot, as we find it at the waterfall instead.
Gauntlet and waterfall. I mean, if you're the runners, you love to see it, because then you know it's not going to be anywhere later on in the seed. But for those of us fans, we're not too happy about that, because we want to see that gauntlet.
Oh yeah, and with the alt gauntlet, we can go and take the encounters from the surrounding area. So if you find that alt gauntlet at the Masamune altar, you are in for an experience. You're a serious experience haul if you survive.
That has, oh gosh, I don't even know what's at the Masamune spot, just because I've personally not encountered it there. I imagine a bunch of red dragons, evil masks, and maybe breaths and mines.
No breaths and mines, I think, but definitely evil masks, dragons, behemoths. Oh my! It's just a real treat for all to see. But Locke is going in, quickly looting the Antlion Cave and choosing not to save, but going straight into the boss spot. He has already seen Golbez, and that's one of the big bosses that makes me think I want to save before I go and fight this spot. So let's see what he finds here. And meanwhile, Bigdunka is, after doing his extra checks early on, is going and getting into Antlion Cave now, but I don't believe he's gone and taken out Golbez now, so he does not have this Yang.
No, but it looks like he's getting ready to head up Hobbs to obtain that Yang. Whereas Locke is just going through equipping gear and preparing for, what boss are we going to find here? King and Queen Evelyn.
Well, that's certainly a freebie. Not, honestly, I'm not terribly happy to see this here when it's so free. It goes back around to being a bit costly, because you'd rather find something this free in a spot that hurts rather than a spot you're already pretty confident you can take out quickly and easily.
I have to agree on that one. If I were in the place of these runners, I would not be too terribly happy.
There's Locke taking out the King Queen Evelyn, not even letting them go through their speech, and we'll see what he gets from Antlion. Well, this seed seems rather free. A magma key from a free boss.
Already seeing the magma key come up. This is going to get either really interesting, just needing to find the Baron key, as well as Ridiatella and Dark Elf, or it's going to be a hunt through maybe a few different rabbit holes.
I agree. They definitely have to go and find that Baron key, so I think that's going to be their top short-term priority at the very least. Hit key item spots, go underground, see if they can go and find some, maybe they can go and find a Pan and Fey March and go and get a legendary one-trip Fabul, or maybe they can go and find their Baron key on Sheila 1 by just going and talking to the Sylphs. And then they've got themselves set up to go and finish one objectives outright. They have the 5th objective in hand whenever they go and choose to attack it. And then it just comes down to hitting character and boss checks, which Baron's pretty good for that, all things considered. We know the first boss is not Dark Elf because it was a Rubicon sprite, but there's a lot to go and look for when you find Baron.
Yeah, since there are 2 other bosses that can be there. One which needs to be defeated. The other doesn't really need to be defeated, but may need to be defeated due to the character location.
Agreed. So there's finding that Baron key definitely, I would think, would be high on our runner's priority list. Not like they'd ever want to go and put it off, but the sooner they find it, the sooner they can get multiple important checks out of the way. Maybe start being able to skip some other character checks where if you're looking for Tella or Rydia and you found one but not the other and you have Baron key, you clear that out and find them. Hey, you don't need to go and check Giant, you need to go and check Hook, you don't need to go and check Package. These are all things I think are going to be weighing on our runners' minds as they go around, but we see Locke checking Dwarf Castle, going in to do some shopping, it seems.
And I like the play of going into Dwarf Castle, and there are sirens within the Dwarf Castle, so that's a pretty good find.
Agreed. We can go and get those extra levels on Sid, as you've mentioned. He's pretty good overworld, but until he gets some extra levels, he's not that great underworld. And Yang is not that great overworld or underworld until he gets a bunch of levels. And Sirens, if nothing else, can facilitate that. As our team right now doesn't... for a mid-game team, I actually consider this pretty weak.
I have to agree with that. This mid-game team definitely leaves something to be desired. But at the same time, with as many characters as there are out throughout the world, things could change very quickly. Hello, Bacchus Wines and Tomra.
The underworld is the dwarves are certainly brewing up some interesting choices.
I would like to call this seed a little loaded here in the underworld. I like Job Dwarf's job. It's fitting for the time of year.
Agreed, and maybe he's the reason why all these dwarves are loaded.
That very well may be the case.
But Locke is definitely making efficient checks, going and looking for shops, finding those sirens, making sure he has them. He's probably looking for coffins now, so he can go and crack a few to get 34,000 experience is a big boon this early on with these characters, and it will turn Young from pretty tepid damage to not quite as tepid damage for the overworld.
Yeah, that will definitely give Yang quite a bit of power, making him a lot more viable right now, as well as giving Sid a little more power and definitely a lot more fortitude.
Agreed. And we find 2 nice items in the 4 chests in Fame March, a Curse String and an Earth Hammer. Earth Hammer definitely helps Sid's power, and the Curse String, that helps the whole team, as Wyvern's a lot less scary when you have a Curse String. Why is that, Sonny?
So the Curse Ring is a fun piece of equipment that lowers all stats by 15. So if you're wanting to get a nice agility anchor, you can actually use that Cursed Ring to drop a character's agility value by 15. And even though it does drop all of their other stats, just dropping that agility value in and of itself is extremely helpful.
Indeed, and because of how agility works in this game, the speed of battle doesn't have a set, shall we say, variable. It's determined based off of your middle character's agility stat. So if you have an incredibly slow middle character, well, there's only so much faster you can be than anyone. So that goes and puts a lot of things in play where your boss is too fast, make your anchor really slow, and even your rather slow Tellas and Foos will be fast as that wyvern.
If not slightly faster.
Agreed. But we do see Kaipo guards at Fabul, and Bigdunka using the Assassin Dagger and getting a swoon proc on Edward to just instantly kill them, as they don't have the boss bit, they're not real bosses, and are good to go. But we see another interesting thing. We see 2 free bosses in Feymarch. We see the same sprite as these Kaipo guards, the Baron guards, and we see a blue robe. Seems we've already found 1 blue robe in the form of the Gauntlet. We know that's Water Hag.
And both of those fights, since they are quite free, will yield a lot of EXP. That'll be extremely helpful for this party. On top of all of that, and just will allow Locke to have so many levels to be able to traverse the underground with much more ease.
Agreed, though there is a small caveat. You have to survive long enough to go and stop them, and Locke doesn't know which of those guards, or which of either of those fights, to be entirely honest, they are, so just going and doing a bit of reconnaissance there, it seems.
Info is good to have. Info leads to power.
Agreed, and you can come back here when you have 5 characters and make better use of the experience, and I don't believe we found coffins either, so there's still that to find as well.
Yeah, coffins have not been found yet. And it looks like Locke is going to go ahead and dive into the Sylph Cave.
That's very interesting, because we saw from Fabul we got the Sand Ruby, which is a character check, and we're going to see which character, thanks to Bigdunka. It's a Kain. Not a bad character to find at all.
Kain is quite a good character to have. He can do a lot of damage via his jumps. His weaponry can do a lot of damage, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a Gungnir Spear found earlier for him.
That Gungnir Spear will definitely go and help carry the early parts of the seed, as Kain's definitely got some good growth. He can benefit from a bit of strength early on, but otherwise, he's a real solid bruiser into that middle game.
I have to absolutely agree on that. Kain is definitely a character that in the mid game cannot be understated on how helpful he really is getting through that.
And I am noticing we have a very physically based team. We have found 3 serious physical fighters of the 5 real physical fighters you want to find, in the form of Edge, Young, Cecil, Kain, and Sid. Then we still have all of our casters, and then we still need to find Tella.
This is very true, and that may lead to a little bit of worry, just due to having so many of the bruisers so early on. Especially if, say, one of the characters is locked behind the package and the package may be in a nasty spot.
Or if they're in Giant and they need to go and clear something out there to get into that character check, and you have to go through, say, Kanizo there. That would be very rough.
Ooh, yeah, Kanaso at the Elements location would be very, very rough to go through.
Bigdunka finding Ogreaxes and Aegis shields in Silvera, and after my own heart, purchasing one of those Aegis shields, my favorite shield in the game, as it gives good magic defense, which is helpful against Aromas, and it gives Petrify immunity, which is helpful against Evil Wall and Valbalis, and it gives mage resistances, which is great against Baron Guards, Ashura, and Magus Sisters.
The Aegis shield is a super nice shield, also one of my favorite shields in the game, due to exactly what you mentioned. It's just such a handy shield to have.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. It's one of the few ways you can actually get mage resistance on your fighters. But meanwhile, we do see Locke is going in, turning in that Sheila 1-hit check, and let's see what we get from letting Sheila know where Yang is, except, not in our party. A Legend Sword.
Well, that was a legendary Sheila 1. Now you know I'll be bringing the puns.
I'll have to work tonight, it seems. And speaking of having to work for it, Bigdunka is finding Valvalis in the first spot on ordeals. So with Kane, you can still stop the spin, and with the other characters, you can go and try and get through it, but it's probably going to be best just to jump and beat up Valvalis. So this is a little ugly because you have no AoE healing, and, well, the spot doesn't hit hard. It hits hard enough to go and take you down 2 or 3 hit points, which when you get hit with weak, that's all you're really going to have.
Yeah, and that in and of itself is just quite frightening anyway. But it looks like he's making good work of it so far. Just making it through Valvalis one swing at a time.
I'm a little surprised that, Bigdunka didn't go and check underground to my knowledge, so I was going to say I'm surprised he didn't go and look for sirens, or use one of those sirens to get some extra experience, but that's Locke who went and found that. Bigdunka, I believe, has not gone and pitched their magnet key.
Correct. Bigdunka has not ventured underground yet. And it looks like Locke does not have the Gunyear Spear.
He does have an Excalibur from that Baymarch chest, but not really helpful until you, 1, do ordeals, and 2, find a Cecil.
Indeed, which Dunk is working on ordeals, and Locke is not too terribly far behind in that respect.
Yeah, Locke, I'm guessing, has checked a lot less of the overworld shops than Bigdunka, but Bigdunka has checked none of the underworld, which might go and give Locke a lead, though Locke choosing not to go and exploit having sirens might go and not really give him as much of a lead as he would be able to otherwise.
Absolutely, but Dunka does make it through Valvalis at the Mylon spot, and now, what is at the Mylon Z spot? It's our favorite boss, Asura.
Well, this would be assuredly interesting.
Absolutely. I like that one. That was good.
I hope you're having fun, chat. He's going to be here all day.
The puns will keep coming. Fair warning.
And it looks like Bigdunka is getting ready to go and use the double reflect strategy, as Edward used 1 Star Veil, but I don't know if his 2nd Star Veil came off already.
The Star Veil, both Star Veils went off, and now Asura is just going to have the spells reflected. So fortunately, that is a go.
Well, with all those faces, I guess Ashura is very good at self-reflection.
You know, I had a good opportunity to make a pun, and you capitalized on it, and I greatly appreciate that. That was awesome. Well, Valvalis has been blown away to the other side of the ravine.
That seemed a bit hairy for a second, but it looks like we pulled through.
Just a little bit. And now both of our runners fighting, or both the racers fighting Asura right now.
Asura's having a bit of a face-off with herself, it seems.
Indeed. Indeed. And now we have chat joining in on the puns, and I couldn't be any happier.
Yes, let them flow through here. In fact, every channel on Twitch.
We need more puns.
I mean, how can we go and face ourselves without them?
I mean, why face ourselves when we have a boss that can turn around and look at itself multiple times?
To answer a question from chat, LockeCole did go underground for a bit and did some shopping, but also went and checked some items, but didn't go and do much else. He did get the Legend Sword from checking Young in the Bed and Sylph Cave and returning to Sheila 1, and got an Excalibur from checking the free chest in Fey March.
And Dunka has made it through Asura, where Locke is working on taking out Asura. What's the reward from Ordeals going to be?
I hope it's something shiny.
I hope it's the Adamant.
Well, there's still hope for that as we get a Rat Tail and then Vanilla Game because the Adamant, but we find Dark Elf, which is the not expected place to go and find, or the not expected required part of Ordeals to find here.
They have to make sure that they don't deal too much damage.
I think Dark Elf you can't actually one-shot. He has too much health in this randomizer. He will go and just be unable to be killed once you do some extraordinary amount of damage, I think, before he goes and does me change.
Then he probably has the same amount as Waterhag does, which is 65,000. Some odd.
Sounds about right. I believe Golbaz has a similar situation as he will never go and leave without saying his giving his regrets before unless you go and reflect an extraordinary amount of damage back on him.
That sounds about right. But the upside on all this is that's one objective that's going to be cleared for both runners. Cecil will now be a paladin whenever he's found, so that way he can equip the Excalibur and they don't have to come back to Ordeals for anything.
Not to mention that required Tella will have all of his spells, which I like Tella with all of his spells. He's actually quite helpful with them.
I mean, so long as he can cast Media, we're good, right?
I'm a bit of a cliche. I like using the weak spell to go and just take tons of experience on a D machine grind.
Now that's another one I can appreciate. Because we're throwing it back to the classics with the D machine grind.
Can't always rely on sirens, even if they are in the seed. It's a fun grind, it's a helpful grind, and it's free experience. And now we're up to the question of where do our runners go? I'm guessing they head to Baron Inn shortly, but there's nothing that's really screaming Doomy next to me at this point. I guess Tower would be a good choice.
Super Cannon would probably be a very good choice just due to the boss there having a low amount of HP. It'd be quick to get done, though I imagine both of the runners are saving that check for when they can knock out both Tower and Super Cannon.
Agreed. And to answer a question from chat, there are sirens. Sirens are in Dwarf Castle. We have not found coffins. We do have hourglasses. There's Tella in the Baron Inn, so that's another objective on its way to being cleared.
And that's probably one of the best objectives to have cleared, especially right after doing Ordeals.
Agreed. The only thing that can make this better if we find that Darkness Crystal and then can do our a D machine grind.
Ooh, that would make things absolutely gorgeous. But we do have a lunar boss here. Which one is it? It's Pale Dim.
I think he pales in comparison to the other dragon on the moon.
He most definitely does. He doesn't hit you with the burning intensity of 10,000 damage.
I guess Peldon is used to living in Wyvern's shadow.
There we go. I have nothing after that one.
I mean, Paladin really just can't hold a candle to Wyvern.
I had something about Holy and then I lost it.
This is wholly uncalled for?
Yeah, that one actually was it. It just came back to me as you started saying it. Do you think Pale Dim drinks pale ale at the bar? I love it. The answer to that, though, is probably.
I mean, he was at the bar. We can find out what he was drinking, but we do find a pink tail from Tella, so no immediate D machine grind hopes for us. But that is objective number 3 done for Bigdunka and LockeCole. not far behind, and LockeCole's got a bit more knowledge than Bigdunka, so we'll see where Bigdunka goes from here.
This is very true. Though with having Tella now, that would also make some of the fights underground, specifically the Asura and Leviathan spots, a lot easier to do.
And if you're feeling really cheeky, you could just grind a few eggs without needing coffins, as you've got that weak spell, or you've got the stone spell, depending on how much you want to trust Chella's ability to hit that spell from the middle slot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Tella also have Fatal?
No, he does not.
That's
He does
right.
not.
Fatal is Foo.
Yes, Tella does not get all of the black magic spells. He definitely doesn't get Nuke. I don't think he gets Fatal, and I don't think he gets one other spell.
I know he doesn't get Nuke. He doesn't get Fatal. He can recall Fatal. That one I knew, but I forgot whether or not he had it in his spell list after Ordeals.
Quake, thank you. Our tracker, Maggie the Cat, as our burners are coming a little bit of common ground for a second. Let us give a thanks to both our restreamer, Johannes Mano, and our tracker, Maggie the Cat. Thank you both very much for helping plan the show, and thank you, Sonny, for joining me on commentary.
Thanks for joining me as well, Baka. So far, this has been an absolute blast, and we got to break out more puns.
I'll try and find a few more to go and dig out for us.
I mean, you say go and dig out as Dunka goes underground, so Dunka definitely dug a big hole for that one.
He's really opening up the field for us.
I mean, he's got a tower over the competition.
He's definitely shooing to go and... Actually, I don't have anything here. I'm sorry. I failed you. I tried, and then I couldn't go and fit a good key pun in. But here's Locke using knowledge of where those sirens are to go, and he is taking Tella for a spin to see if he can go and spin that egg right around with that weak spell and get some free experience.
Too much babbling. You're not wrong there. And no, Baka didn't run out of power. I caught his brain in a loop. Oh, hey. So we've got Dark Knight Cecil at the Ruby spot, and oh no, this is another lunar boss.
Are you going to get your wish?
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping we get to see a nasty boss here. Okay, I can be okay with this boss being right here. I like D-Lunars.
I believe Bigdunka used up all of his Star Veils.
He did. He had no Star Veils to do the Breath Reflect.
He did, however, still have Tella, though. There is a question of how much you want to rely on Tella's walls for that.
You know, that's a good question. You know what? I'll take Bahamut being here. That's close enough to Wyvern for me.
Yeah, but if Wyvern got a turn, everyone would be dead. And Bahamut gets a turn, everyone's on their
attacking.
Everyone's going and reminding themselves of 5. Ha ha ha. No 4, just 5.
Yeah, it just stopped at 5 and that was it.
5? Yes, there are 5 of us. Good job. You can go home.
I like that one. That was good. But with that, Dunka has 3 of the 5 objectives completed. Now it's just finding Rydia and finding that Baron key in order to complete the other 2 objectives.
And having getting stymied by Tower, I think he's not going to be terribly interested in coming back to the top of Tower for a very long time. So if Tower does not give Baron key, he's fine. But if Tower leads to Baron key or the path to Zeromus, this is pretty bad for Bigdunka.
Indeed. And with Locke having obtained a couple of levels, there might be a very good chance of the Baron Key being up there, or even an item that leads to Rydia.
Very true, and that is something that I think is going to be weighing on Bigdunka's mind, but LockeCole is going into Dwarf Castle and finding Baigen, who is... I mean, there's never a good spot to find Baigen, but this doll spot actually hits kind of hard, so it's quite ugly. Meanwhile, Bigdunka getting a white shirt from the cannon, which is not really what you want to see when you have a party with no white mages.
I mean, it's something for Tella.
Well, yes, but saying it's something for Tella is like saying you have a Stardust Rod for Tella. It's true, it's just not necessarily helpful.
And you knew exactly where I was going with that.
Yup.
It feels like we've been down that road before.
Look, I respect Tella for everything except his stats.
Exactly. I mean, until you need him for Medio, and then it's just like, okay, Tella, just do the thing.
Well, I believe, well, we haven't seen, I think we've seen Soma drops in the shops, otherwise I believe LockeCole might be asking Tella to do the Medio.
Yeah, there were Soma drops in Mysidia, if I remember correctly.
Not the worst place to find them, and honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to buying at least one or two for Tella, as going from 90 to 100 MP is pretty big for Tella. That goes from being 3 to 4 weeks, or 3 to 4 weeks. That's really all I really care about when it comes to Tella's MP.
Yeah, I was about to say the weeks are where it's at.
But meanwhile, Bigdunka is down in Feymarch and is going and checking. He's going straight to Water Hag, and I believe he might take use of that, I think you mentioned that cursed ring he found.
He's not going to use that cursed ring. He's going to instead try to melee down Water Hag before Water Hag can melee him down.
He might be able to get it off because he's got one attack through, another one queued up, and Sid hasn't gotten their turn yet, so he just needs one more turn and Water Hag is down. Meanwhile, we find Rosa in Dwarf Castle in the Elements fight here, which that could be bad or it could be not terrible. The magic is not terrible here, so Rosa could be getting a good slingshot.
Indeed, and that also tells us that Ruby is at the Baigen spot.
Which is not a terrible spot for Baigen, but we find the pan from Water Hag. That's a nice development for Bigdunka, as that cuts down on one of Bigdunka's trips to Fabul.
That pan showing its value, coming in at the right time.
Yeah, it's really panning out well for Dunka.
That's exactly where I was going with it too.
But I believe Bigdunka is going to go and try and take a shot as well, because I think I see a stack of 10 Hourglass 2s in his inventory. Bigdunka also has that Aegis shield on Kane, so I believe there's a good chance Bigdunka is able to go and get through that fight without too much issue. And we find the Darkness Crystal from Dwarf Castle.
Ooh. Now that's pretty big, because that does give access to the moon, and that's another character spot that can be checked, as well as, you know, a few bosses, just a few.
A few bosses, but when we need key items, it's still a lot of good spots, as well as that ribbon spot is a 2-for-1 if you can get through it. Though we have seen a lot of free bosses already. We've seen both Baron and Kaipo guards, Water Hag, the Bahamut is free depending on how you define free. King Queen Evelyn are most certainly free, so there's not many bosses that can be very easy for our runners at their current level. Locke has also found both grind options in the form of Darkness Crystal and the Sirens, while Bigdunka is simply going and taking the experience as he gets it. We'll see if Locke decides to go and check the moon and do a grind, check the moon and come back, I'm curious as to where Locke is going to go with this. He's definitely going to the moon, it seems, as he's starting in his Darkness Crystal.
And Dunka's trying to stone these guards here at the Leviathan spot, and it's not going too terribly well. Not getting any good luck with this, but finally gets one to land.
Ooh, and I think Bigdunka is going to discover you can't actually life glitch a stoned guard because they're not dead, they're petrified, which doesn't allow you to go and use the life glitch on them. If you wanted to go and life glitch them, he needed to use the weak spell, unfortunately.
Weak, follow that with an attack, or use Fatal or a Coffin.
Yep, and that's unfortunate for Bigdunka, but he is getting through this fight as another check that LockeCole is not going to have, and we'll see if this rewards Bigdunka. And looks like LockeCole did something that I do very frequently, which is go and start the cutscene and take a short break I need to and forget that there's a text box I have to advance.
And that is a gold apple from the guards at the Leviathan spot. You'd love to see it, except you also hate to see it.
Well, still a golden opportunity for Locke to get some time then.
You know, I have no response on that one. You got me this time, after I got you last time.
We'll have to go back and forth and try and tell you after the end of this.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so Locke has flown to the moon. Flown in air quotes. Where Dunka is now in Tamra, and the character on the moon is Rydia.
Dwarf Castle required, no kitty allowed this seed, as that's an objective. That's the second objective for Locke. So Locke only needs to find the Baron key, and he's done. As he has the super cannon, he's ready to go there. Are we going to see? No, we are not seeing any trips to the giant
Lunar
yet.
Subterrane or giant trips just yet.
Bit more shopping to see if we go and find something else, and then it's not terribly hard for me to consider the idea of Locke going and grinding up to Zeromus levels with D machines and clearing the moon, because there are a lot of checks here, but that does give Bigdunka a big opportunity if this pan leads to anything that leads to that Baron key, which is the only thing we have to find.
That is very true, but Dunka is about to enter the Dwarven Castle, more than likely fight the boss, obtain that Darkness Crystal, and be in a slightly better situation objective-wise than Locke currently is, since Dunka did complete Super Cannon. The only potential thing that could end up biting Dunka at this point is the fact that he did not clear out all of Tower. He wasn't able to take out the boss up at the top, and if that boss has the Baron key, that could spell demise for Dunka.
Very true, because I think Dunka he just has to commit. Tower didn't work out for me on my first trip. I can't go and spend lots of time going back up there. I need to go and either be able to clear it quickly when I go there again, or check everywhere else. And Locke is climbing the tower. Locke is going to be going, and we'll see how he approaches this. He does go and have, I don't know if he has more star bells than Bigdunka does. He has a few more levels, but he's not that much more level to where you can go and really laugh off these D-Lunars up here. So I'm curious how this is going to go for him.
He's definitely not that much farther ahead in levels, but he is going to go ahead and clear out the Super Cannon while he's on his way up. But we do have a question in chat. Do they have any decent MP restoratives? I haven't seen any yet. So the D Machine grind, where it does require a lot of MP, the other way that MP could be restored is via the... Oh, I forget the name of the Osmos spell in the SNES version.
It is the Psych spell.
Psych. Yep.
Yeah, you can just slurp Rose's MP, take it from her, and get some more D machines out. But I believe we saw some ethers in one of the shops. But there is objective number 5 on the board for Locke. So Locke has the lead on objectives and is now only looking for the Baron key. Once Locke finds the Baron key, he has everything he needs to go to Zeromus.
And Locke almost not saving and going straight to the boss fight, which would have been a huge pain.
Yeah, that would definitely eat time, as I don't believe he saved coming up, and I certainly don't like saving before going to this boss spot because I've seen Wyvern there too many times, or Ogopogo, or some other nasty thing to not feel, let's just say I have enough bad memories of losing saves from Sierra games to go and keep doing that.
Yeah, Danger Noodle being up here is rather unkind.
We do see Bigdunka is going at this Baigen fight, and the Baigen fight going straight back at him. Baigen is never a boss you like to see. He's mean, he hits hard, he's rather rude, and I would rather see him in places where he has less than 200 hit points.
I mean, Baigen's just that boss in general that nobody really likes in this game.
When I was a child and didn't know how to do these lovely things like the MP underflow glitch, Baigen really was really a bad time for me. And speaking of maybe a bad time, we're berserking our fighters in this D-Lunar fight on Locke's side, so we're not going to go and do reflect breath strats. We're going to go and do overpowered virus strats.
Bigdunka takes out Baigen with both of the arms being revived right before Baigen's body went down, putting me at a point that almost gave me a heart attack, because if those arms get to explode, they're going to deal a ton of damage.
Yeah, those arms being the HP at the spot, the arms aren't really even worth killing for experience because there's just an absolute tiny portion of it. But Bigdunka's through, he's now at elements, and he has Rosa, so we'll see how well this goes for him, as he might be able to go and get through, only need to go through the first half of the elements fight if Yang goes and punches hard enough.
Now, hopefully, Yang does get a very strong punch off. 3048 is going to do it.
That's, yeah, the elements is, if you track HP in the vanilla game, elements have far too much HP for what they could actually have, so it's split into two bosses, the Mylon and Rubicant phase, and the Kanizo and the Valvalis phase. If you do too much damage in either the Mylon or Rubicant phase, you can just outright kill the boss without seeing any other phase.
Yeah, and to give you an idea on that, they have 60,000 HP for each phase. And after you deal that about 50,000 damage, maybe 45,000, it switches over to the next phase to make it feel like the fight has a grand total of 105,000 HP. Oh, Locke is in a tight spot and unfortunately takes a wipe to the D-Lunars.
Yes, unfortunately, after you survive the virus counters, if you go and don't, if you keep attacking the D-Lunars when only one is alive, they counterattack every source of damage with fire, which is 20% of your character's max HP. Just, you can mitigate it with fire resistance, but you can also double it with fire vulnerability, and it is definitely not something you want to see. And speaking of MP restoratives, we do have an elixir for LockeCole, so he can use that as well to extend the D machine grind should he choose to. But LockeCole is committing to this fight and going back in.
Maybe rethinking his strategy and continuing from there.
Yeah, Sid was only doing piddly amount of damage at this point. It's 200 to 300 points of damage. It's just, that is not something you want to go and really be doing on something that's going to counterattack your whole party for that much damage.
I have to
And
agree.
we see from Bigdunka that the sylphs give a very nice shiny ring in the form of a crystal ring, and we'll see what Sheila gives for returning her cookware.
Here's to hoping that it's not the Baron Key. Actually, if anything, I think they'd like to see the hook right now.
The hook would give them some goodies, but we do have no adamant on, so there's not even going to be anything that shiny there. Could be a crystal sword for the Cecil we clearly are never going to see.
This is very true, but at the same time, that crystal sword could also yield quite a bit of money. Which, I mean, at this point, that might actually be very useful for them.
They do have sirens in play and hourglasses they can use. They can go up to the moon and grind gold dragons. There's Bigdunka getting their legend sword, and the pan is giving the hook, as you said. So that's 2 more checks, and we can see what Rattail gives us.
I'm not going to say I called it, but I called it.
Yeah.
But with that, like you said, the Rattail is available to check, as well as the character that's in Eblin Cave.
And Bigdunka hasn't checked the moon, so he doesn't know that Rydia is already up there. So he might choose to go and check Eblin Cave, thinking that he needs to go and still find Rydia, where we know, well, we do know where a Rydia is. I don't believe we found the duplicate in the seed, so there could be another Rydia in there.
Yeah, the duplicate has not been found yet, and there actually is a question in chat asking what grinds were used this race. So far, eggs. Hey, there's the adamant.
Is this even
randomized?
I know.
Ooh, and an Artemis bow from the pink tail. That's pretty nice to see as well.
I am not unhappy with that. Sid will definitely go and make good use of that. In my opinion, that is Sid's best weapon, as Sid has a number of strong points, such as his great HP total and his ability to wear heavy armor, and some glaring weaknesses, such as the fact he's slower than molasses. Artemis bow goes and helps with that.
Yeah, with Sid being as slow as he is, Artemis bow and that crystal armlet that was picked up will definitely boost his agility quite a bit. And with that adamant, that does give access to the Cocole shop.
Very true, and we find Coffin, so Bigdunka can go and have a faster grind than LockeCole did. Though Tweak isn't terribly slow, Coffins are most certainly faster, and you can keep Tella dead for it more easily. Whoa, I liked some of the stuff I saw in that Evelyn shop, even if it was just charm rods and ninja swords. Those are still 2 very nice weapons if you find characters who want them.
I do have to agree with that. Ninja sword, I mean, if an edge is found, that's going to make him really, really valuable.
Agreed. And Mechalink in chat pointing out that Locke was only rewarded with a spoon on top of tower, so Bigdunka is safe for just skipping that check. Meanwhile, LockeCole lost a fair amount of time to it, but he does have a bit of a grind, so we'll see where LockeCole goes from here, as we find the Quake Kid in here, but not taking him, instead just leaving, deciding that he would rather have some other form of black magic.
Well, fairly well, Quake Kid. You are my favorite of the 2 kids, but unfortunately we will not be seeing you. Instead, Dunka is going to head over to Mysidia and activate the Lunar Whale.
Which, unless I'm not mistaken, the only things left for Bigdunka were top of tower or going to the moon, so I can't really blame Bigdunka for going to the moon, as it seems like that's where Baron Key is.
Yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess on the spot, and I'm not going to be as evil as I was earlier on. I'm actually going to say it's in Bahamut's cave.
Ooh, you're a fan of value today.
I like my value.
To answer a question from chat, we have not seen Demist yet, as we have checked all the boss spots except for one on Earth. We have not checked the Magus Sisters spot. And if we have something truly like Magus Sisters Demist that gives the Earth Crystal, which gives the Baron Key, I am going to be amused.
I will be thoroughly amused if that's the case. That's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing in the seed.
Oh yeah, it would be incredibly evil and hilarious, and I want it now that I said it.
I would love to see that as well. Question in chat: what was that, King and Queen Evelyn? We don't know. King and Queen Evelyn was not checked.
Yep, Bigdunka just went, got the hook, saw that it was Quake Kid there, and decided that he didn't want to go and take part of that, and left. Didn't even go and trigger the cutscene to get the Quake Kid. So we have no idea what boss is at King Queen Evelyn.
Bigdunka is fighting this glorious inventory boss. It's the boss that a lot of us are very familiar with, and we love and hate at the same time.
The inventory boss goes and kicks my butt all the time, but Bigdunka picking up on the much needed Star Val, so, or 7 of them to be exact, so if we find Wyvern down here, Bigdunka is not going to be quite as unprepared as he was for the other lunar dragons, or the other lunar drag. There's a lot of lunar dragons up here, I'm guessing.
I was about to say, there are a grand total of 4 lunar dragons? And then
Depends
the
on-
rope.
Yeah, that's true. We've got the King of Dragons. We've got Peldim, who's, you know, there. We got the fossil D-Lunars, who are definitely there, and we like to go and forget about them as much as possible. Bigdunka finding already and choosing, or D-Lunars.
Well, there's D-Fossil, D-Lunar,
D-Bone.
Yeah. Oh gosh, D-Bone. Red Dragon, Blue Dragon. There are so many dragons on the moon. Technically 9.
Red, Silver Dragons, Gold Dragons. Which one did you leave behind?
You know, personally, I'm more of a fan of the Green Dragon.
Yeah, that I'm always a fan of leaving the Green Dragon behind.
All right, Dunka is actually going to go ahead and enter the lunar subterrane. And ooh, Locke's going for the stone strats on the guards.
Both of our runners going for stone strats. I don't believe either one of them placed Tella in the middle, which is a little unfortunate, as the middle slot does go and give an accuracy boost, which it's 20% of the current accuracy, and Tella or Locke going for weak and then life, so getting some extra experience from these guards, which will be helpful. Though, believe Bigdunka is going to be going and getting some experience in the form of grinding some gold dragons with these sirens.
I do believe you are right on that. And when Dunka went to fight the guards earlier, he did have Tella in the middle slot.
Okay, my mistake.
No worries. I got you back. But unfortunately, Locke's got to be feeling a little disappointed after picking up that gold apple.
It's rather impressive that you can go and find a worm and a gold apple, but somehow it managed.
Unfortunately, his reward was far from golden.
Seems like it more or less just wormed its way into his pack. Speaking of panning things, let's go and hit Yang with cookware.
Yeah. That was actually what I was about to say. Because I was trying to think of a pun, and that's the one that came into my mind, and I'm like, well, I'm about to be slow on the upkeep on that one.
Sorry, I'm a bit keen on just stealing these things.
But you're good with puns. That's the thing.
That's what some people tell me, and then other people tell me, please stop. Speaking of stop, Hourglass is coming to play against these King Ryus, as looks like Bigdunka is choosing that to use his grind, and these dragons are not going to go and get the chance to fight back.
Dunka's making sure this fight's not going to be dragging on.
He likes to go and make sure that time's on his side.
That one was very solid too.
I try not to let them slip away.
I mean, could you say you have too much time on your hands?
I never really stopped to think about it too much.
Only because it keeps on ticking. There's no time to waste.
Our time together is always the best time.
I have to agree. This has just been absolutely incredible.
I hope Chad agrees.
All I see in chat, this hurts on so many levels.
We're happy that you enjoy this wonderful free enterprise content. Back to the race, we see that Bigdunka is still going and farming gold dragons, as he likes to go and get a bunch of money and a bunch of experience from them, and while Locke is going and doing a bit of shopping and turning in that pan, and I believe he's going to turn this hook to see... He's going to turn the hook to go and get his vanilla adamant and his Artemis bow, and then he, I think, will have full cleared Earth and have nothing left to do but the moon.
Yeah, I do believe that you're right on that. He will just be left with the moon checks for, it's just the search for, where's the Baron key? So that way they can go fight the Odin spot.
Pretty much, but I believe that puts... Actually, I think that's both of our runners at 10 key items, if I'm horribly mistaken.
Yep, Locke has 11 or Dunka has 10 right now, but either way, that's still the massive EXP boost.
Indeed, and that puts, I believe this is the second or third set of, yeah, it looks like to be the second set of fights that Gold Dragon. So this is the third set of Gold Dragons, which is, each of these fights when life glitch is 180,000 experience, 3 of them is close to 600,000 experience. That's going to put him solidly into the 40s. If he only needs to kill 1 or 2 bosses up on the moon, he's not going to need any more experience for Zeromus.
That's very true. He will be completely ground up after killing a couple of those bosses. And that'll just be it.
Yeah, though.
It's such a good position.
We still do not have a pass, so even if we find the Baron Key and come back, we might have to do yet another trip to go and return to the moon and walk down, unless either the Odin spot or one of these checks on the moon that doesn't provide progress gives us the pass.
That is very true. I mean, I can't see either of these runners wanting to actually run back through the lunar subterrane after going to clear Baron, or after going to clear the Odin spot specifically. But they may find that pass along the way.
Yeah, or the sea can be extra trolling and put the pass on the behind the Baron throne, which none of our runners are going to have a great reason to do if they choose to, as you can go and walk out of Baron instead of going and going back and taking that fight.
Ooh, Dunka has decided to back Roguelich Sid.
Not a move I disagree with, as back Roguelich Sid is a way to go, and you've got a lot of people who want to be on the front line, and well, it looks like he doesn't want Tella to be gaining more experience, as Tella's going to the front row and is going to be getting that curse ring, so take a nap, Tella. You've done your duty.
And Tella has done his duty well. And now it's time for him to be done with his duty and be put onto another duty.
Anchoring is a very important duty, one that I respect wholly, and the curse ring makes incredibly easy.
I have to absolutely agree with that. All right. We got a big play coming up from Dunka, and we got a pretty big play coming up from Locke. We've got the Dark Imps here at the D Lunar spot, whereas Locke is about to head into Cave Bahamut.
That will go and provide a bit of variance in this race, as I don't think Bigdunka is going to the Cave of Value anytime soon. And I think Bigdunka may be overgrinding a little bit, as he is going in life glitching these Dark Elves. Or Dark Imps, excuse me. We've already killed the Dark Elf.
Dark Elves, Dark Imps, they're dark. In the end, they're all defeated.
In the end, they're just waiting for their time to come.
All right. It is time to see who the boss will be at Cave Bahamut. As Bigdunka finishes off the Dark Imps at D Lunar, gets a lot of EXP due to the life glitching. Rosa does learn the white spell, and we have the Twin Harp and a Zeus Gauntlet. So we may be hearing some music after all, Baka.
Yeah, we still have not found that Baron key. That could still lead to it, and we'll have to see what's in the cards for our runners, as they don't really have a good reason to go and do this. So here's a question: do they have cabins? I don't think they have cabins. I think they're stuck on tents, which is going to be a bit unpleasant, as tents only restore a few hundred MP or 100 MP or so, where these casters all have over several hundred. Well, Rosa has over several hundred.
Yeah, that's not a bad situation. It's just intense. Oh hey, Wyvern.
Speaking of intent and sleeping arrangements.
Yep, this is about to get nasty.
But
oh, there's
managed to get one off.
One Star Veil going off onto Kane, reflecting the Mega Nuke back to Wyvern.
Sid tanks the hits, Rosa dodges a roll, and Young goes and takes a nap. Actually, unless I'm mistaken, Rosa might have dodged 2 rolls and Sid dodged 1, as Young went straight down from 4,000 HP, I think.
Yeah, Rosa dodged 2. That was magical.
I imagine being level 50 and having a lot of power, or a lot of magic boosting gears. I think she has a lunar staff, a tiara, a white robe, and maybe a crystal ring. Yeah, Rosa is a bit of a magic tank right now.
Rosa is ready to go. The Wyvern will not be long for this world. One more punch from Yang should do it, but another nuke's coming out. Going after Kane. Not going to do too much damage.
Yep, not going hitting the targets, but it is definitely going depleting resources, it seems, as Dunka is going just throwing items rather than being able to throw spells, as Dunka does not have much MP. Meanwhile, we'll see that Locke is just simply going and grinding up more levels themselves, is using hourglasses, and is then just simply sliding these down, which might be taking a bit of time from him, as keeping Tella dead will go and keep his agility low without needing a curse string, but it also means he can't just simply go and use extraordinary damage.
Indeed, and that's a defense sword from the Plague Spot. Dunka does take down Wyvern, gets a pretty nice reward, I'd say. Defense sword, a little more powerful than Gunyear Spear.
Agreed, though at Bigdunka's levels, I don't know if he necessarily needs power, he just simply needs that Baron key, as I think Yang and Rosa will definitely be able to go and take care of Zeromus, I think.
Absolutely. Needing that Baron key is imperative right now.
Yeah, it's a hunt for the Baron key, and it is... Bigdunka's gone and checked 3 key item spots in the moon, is going to the 4th. LockeCole is going in, getting his levels, and is going to be checking the 1st spot. And depending on how he clears this moon, he might be behind Bigdunka in his checks, or he could go top down and hit some of the ones that Bigdunka does. And then, of course, we have everyone's favorite check left, Demist.
I was about to ask you, but hey, Baka, what about Demist?
Demist is the ever elusive spot where we just get to go and find all of the great places. And speaking of great spots, we find Odin in the Ogopogo spot. You know what the worst spot, in my opinion, to find Odin is?
This one?
It's Rubicon spot on a hook seed when no way to grind, but this is the second worst spot.
Okay, I can agree with you on that one. Any boss where you can't grind is terrible to find in the Ruby spot, except for Water Hag. That's the only boss that's okay to find.
I mean, I'm sure King Queen Evelyn also do fine.
That depends on the day for me. Oh, hey, it's the Karate Man.
Man, someone in chat mentioned that they believe that their Locke was going into the hook path to see if Cecil was there, and I'm guessing they're wishing even more that Cecil was there, because this would be completely free. Without Cecil being there, this is a lot less than free.
Absolutely, and Dunka makes it through the Odin fight pretty much unscathed. Oh no, that's an Earth Crystal.
Really, it looked like a rabbit hole to me.
It does look like a rabbit hole, which is why I say oh no. But you know me, so that oh no is really yes.
Oh yes, we're gonna go and be having lots of fun this seed, it looks like, because I don't think the seed is gonna go and be so kind as to give us a direct path to that Baron Key. I think it's gonna give us all the different alternate paths there. If we get Luca Key and a Demist from these spots, or maybe a little bit more cheeky, a package to a Demist.
Oh yes, package to Demist would be outstanding to see.
Then we can have each spot go and give another rabbit hole that you then need to go and dive down, because obviously these runners at 1 hour in, 4 of their 5 objectives down, and they haven't made any progress on the objective in the last 10 to 20 minutes. Clearly that they need to go and have just more rabbit holes to go and check.
So how about this? You go check the Earth Crystal. It leads to Luca Key. You get the Luca Key. It leads to Demist. You kill Demist. You go check the Demist turn in. It leads to package.
Oh.
And then you're like, well, I should have done Twin Harp.
Punished for going and not giving the music to the fans. I like it.
But we see an antlion here at the Wyvern spot. Not a bad boss to find right here.
The punches will hurt, but the counters will be bad. And, well, there's the Luca Key, so we're getting all the shallow chains. I don't think we have a chance of getting... No, we cannot go and get too deep on any chain. You cannot go and chain one into another. You will just have the Baron Key behind one of the remaining checks.
Yeah, it's only a 1 deep chain all around.
The worst we can have is a chain gating Demist.
That is by far the worst that can be had.
And unless Baron Key is directly here at this Wyvern spot or the Murasame spot, we're back to playing the guessing game.
Yeah, though we're about to find out what is here on the Wyvern spot. It's the Baron Key!
Bigdunka gets go mode and has got a solid leave on LockeCole, unless Locke takes a very unusual divergence straight to the Wyvern spot. So Bigdunka is definitely in a good position right now. He has levels, he has a Cursed Ring Tella, he has a Rosa with extraordinary gear. I don't think there's much stopping Bigdunka.
No, I don't think there's much of anything stopping Bigdunka either. He's in a fantastic position right now. And honestly, I think Locke is going to be diving all of the lower subterranean before going to check the Wyvern spot, and we'll find that Baron key there and probably not feel too terribly happy.
Yeah, Locke will be very close to 100% clear before he goes and finds that Baron key, where Bigdunka has managed to skip out on the D-Lunars on top of Lower Fabul and the Cave of Bahamut. So that gives Bigdunka 2 checks that LockeCole LockeCole's done 2 checks that Bigdunka didn't, but Bigdunka's checks just worked out better for him.
Now Bigdunka about to enter the barren waterway heading towards the castle. Will be soon to take out Ruby and be on his way to finish the last objective and finish out the seed.
And we don't even have any bosses left that could really kill him, because we found Golbez, we found Wyvern already. The worst thing I think we can find here is maybe Evil Wall at these levels. That's just going to be, yep, I zerk up my characters and watch them beat this wall down to dust.
Yeah, Evil Wall would just be a minor annoyance, and that's it.
We can't even have something annoying and slow like Water Hag, as we've already defeated them. We've defeated Dark Elf as they were on ordeals. So while Bigdunka is going in to just completely stomp over this barren castle, let's do a quick review of the seed. We started with the tower key, which is required for our 5th objective. In Antland Cave, we found the magma key to get us to the 5th objective. On ordeals, on a seed where we're required to find Tella, we found the Dark Elf, so that was pretty well in our runner's way. Tella was in the Barren Inn, so he was very easily accessible in the overworld. Rydia was on the Lunar Dais, so once we found the Barren key, the Darkness Crystal, we've taken care of that once we go up to the moon. And then it was just this hunt for the Baron key and all of these checks on the moon.
You could say the moon was the key check. Dunka is going to go ahead and clear out the actual throne. And we're going to see another lunar boss. Is it going to be the Nope Rope? Is it going to be the Murder Spiggerter? No, it's Plague.
I can't believe you don't have a pun for this. I thought you'd be on the lookout for something.
My eyes weren't open enough for it.
Were you just blinded by that smile?
My mind's eye was.
Well, it looks like our time for eyeing this is Iron Plague is coming to a crumble.
Unfortunately, it's turning back into dust. And
So
now Plague's been returned to nothingness.
of all the characters to find after you've already ground, Fusoya is probably the best one to find.
Hi, Fu. How are you doing? Bye, Fu. We'll see you later.
Keeping Tella over Fu. I slightly disagree with that because you can slap that curse string on Tella, but at the end of the day, you've got 3 Zerkers. You just need to go and Zerk them up and let them kill Zeromus. I think you still save time by not taking Fusoya, because what's he going to do? Cast Berserk and you need to go and remenu him?
I mean, that's a good question, really. In the end, Fu has a wider spell list, has access to nuke, is a little more powerful than Tella overall. But I think Dunk is just relying on using Tella as the anchor overall, not having to switch over to where...
My goodness! That is a big swing for Bigdunka.
That's a huge swing for Bigdunka, and there went my train of thought seeing that pass, because I had to facepalm at that.
I believe I made a prediction some time ago about that being rude, and I'm being proven wrong, as Bigdunka is getting rewarded for that check.
You did make that prediction, and I mean, it's still rude, but it's a reward.
Let's see what we have. Oh, it's Leviathan.
Leviathan.
I don't think we're going to be having a lot of trouble with this boss.
This boss is going to be way too hard for Dunka. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah, that's wave did 1,000 damage to Yang. I don't know if you can really keep up with this.
He rolled a nat 20 on his fortitude save.
I guess it's just gonna have to let this wash over him.
And then Tella got told to chill out.
Need to take a chill pill. And how
Freeze.
shocking that Yang is. Yang is doing that.
Oh, now it's Rosa's turn to freeze. You'd best be frozen solid.
I don't know if this is even randomized, but it looks like Leviathan just decided to change spots and keep his rewards. But
What
speaking of
even?
rewards, Bigdunka is rewarded with his crystal. He has a pass. He now simply needs to walk out of here, fly to Troya, and he'll be on his way to Zeromus. And with that in mind, I believe we're getting close to a very important time of the seed.
I believe we most definitely are. With Go Mode being achieved by Dunka, the only thing that's left to do is fight Zeromus. But I know that there's a question lingering in your mind, Baka.
Indeed, Zeromus is not added to our normal randomized boss pool, as we don't like to go and, well, he's a bit too much of everything to do. He's a bit too fast, a bit too mean, a bit too complicated, and a bit too much to throw into the normal boss pool. But we do like to do something in this randomizer with Zeromus, and when we get closer to him, as looks like Bigdunka decided he wants to go and switch up his anchor anyways and is taking Rydia and giving her the Cursed Ring.
Okay, I like this idea. I really like this idea.
I am curious because what is the idea that you have?
So, if the calculations in my head are right, Rydia should have a null agility. And usually with null agilities, this makes the Zeromus fight very, very strange. But I think in the case with Rydia, because I've done this with Tella, and then the Zeromus fight just goes absolutely insane. But I think in the case of Rydia, having 0 agility is going to make Zeromus extremely slow.
I know that when you have everyone, or if you have an anchor with 0 agility, you just simply have every actor in the battle at RA1 instead of the anchor being at RA5. But I don't know if that does anything very different on the Zeromus fight. I'm curious, but speaking of the Zeromus fight, to finish the thought we were doing earlier and chat warmed up to, Sonny, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
Mine. Wait.
Chat's already been ready for that since we busted out the ponds.
Oh yeah. You know, I'm gonna go with a classic and go with Bowsermus.
Ooh, that is a good one. I am a big fan of, after playing a lot of what was called C5 and would now be 5 unique characters, no duplicates, and getting stuck with Edward so much, I'm a big fan of Zero Word.
Ooh, that'd be a good one too. That's a nice throwback to the old flag structure as well.
It stays near and dear to my heart. I believe you have more experience with this gentleman.
Hi, Garland. How are you doing? I don't have any nightmares about you after being hit 3 times for 200 damage.
The question, because you know the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer better than I do, can Garland roll thunder?
Yes, Garland can roll thunder, blizzard, swirl, nuclear, tornado, nuke, fire 3, lightning 3, ice 3. Yes. Basically anything that a monster can have, Garland can roll.
Well, it looks like you're already random into Nuke today, so I'm glad to see it's bringing up good memories for you. And speaking of good memories, Locke is not going to have good memories when he discovers he exited out of the check he needed, as while he does not see a dot done, he's thinking he needs to follow up on these chains, and that is definitely not a bad gamble. It is unfortunately the incorrect one.
Yeah, unfortunately it will be. But on the bright side of following up with the chains, we're going to get some music.
We'll see if we can get our get a peek on that when we come to that point, as I would certainly love to hear some.
Also, since I saw the line in chat from somebody, which is one of the best lines from the original Final Fantasy, I, Garland, shall knock you all down.
You know, that sounds a lot more intimidating than I expected it could.
Well, unfortunately, though, this Garland is not going to last for much longer.
No, I think Garland is getting knocked around by this team. Looks like we're going for the very simple strategy of get our melee fighters angry, let them on loose on this poor fool who said he was going to knock them around, and let Rosa cheer them on with Hero Force.
Absolutely, and I think we're, if my calculations aren't wrong, I think we're getting close to rocks falling. I've been trying to keep up with the damage and just doing the math in my head, but I think my calculations might be slightly off.
I think we're going to get a big bang first, but very soon afterwards, we're going to go and get rocks, because we're doing about 7,000 damage around.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Sid's axe damage is pretty inconsistent, though Kane has been going and getting some better hits than average, where we're getting about 2,000 for everyone, though Kane sometimes peaking up to 3, and Sid sometimes picking down to 1.5, so it's...
even going as low as 1.4. I saw one hit for that.
But Yang has been nice and steady at a high 2,000, so no risk of going and getting the lovely Big Bang into media, though even if that did happen, this team was going to go and laugh it off still.
Yep, and there are rocks falling whereas LockeCole picks up a white spear.
And wisely going and checking the boss before going and leaving, which I will definitely not blame them for, and it is not demissed.
And with that flash, we have our victor of this race, Bigdunka, finishing off Garlandmus. Get your GGs out for Bigdunka.
And I believe we're joined by our lucky winner right now. Congratulations, Bigdunka. How did you feel about that start?
Well, thank you. It was okay. I mean, it gave us a lot what we need in the beginning, which is really nice.
Yeah, you very quickly went from, Sid, and then you got the magma key very early, and you could just kind of go around wherever. What drove a lot of your early initial decisions?
Well, with most of these seeds, I usually keep mostly to the same pattern. The only exception to the rule would be if characters will come up in the early game, I generally will try to replace one. Like what happened with the Kane, which is perfect considering what happened right after that. But I'll usually, with these types of flags, I'll usually not skip anything in Overworld, even doing ordeals and Baron and all that. Even with an early magma key, just because the chances are you're going to miss something.
Very fair. And speaking of ordeals, I knew that Tella was an objective. I was surprised to see you going there so early. What drove you to ordeals as early as it did?
There's two different pieces of it. One, again, I usually don't skip it. There are a few occasions where I will, but knowing that I'm going to pick up that Tella at Baron makes it that much more inviting to go ahead and do it. Just because you'll have access to weak whenever you pick up Tella, and I'll take that down the Underworld.
So we are about to have some music.
so we'll go and pause our interview for just a minute so we can go and get a bit of the music, and then we'll go and resume our interview with Bigdunka. And it seems that we're getting some very lovely Secret of Mana town music.
Love that.
Speaking of checks that you didn't do, how nervous were you when you got to the moon? We're not finding the Baron Key, but found, what, 2 different rabbit holes you could go down?
That wasn't my concern. My concern was the lunars I left at the top of the tower. It was on my mind the whole time. I was out of star veils and I had no offense, so I was basically taking the chance that I was going to leave something behind there. What was it? I have no idea.
So at the top of the tower, there was actually the spoon. So you actually skipping the top of the tower was a pretty good play in the end.
Yeah, that definitely worked out for you, and we were commenting that you were out of Starville, so that kept you out. Locke did go there. Locke did grind beforehand, so he still took a wipe to those D-Lunars as things didn't quite work out for him, so we were a bit concerned for you where after you went in, you full cleared Earth with the exception of that tower until you found the that darkness crystal at Dwarf, unless I'm mistaken.
And I actually did have a question for you on that, Dunka, because I think you still had the tower that you could have gone to complete. What led you to actually go to the moon instead of going to complete that tower?
It wasn't worth it for one check at that point. My thought at that point is go to the moon. There's going to be so many more up there than there will be, that one check. It's not a fast check. Plus, if I end up finding, Luca Key later, I can always check them both at the same time. At that point, there was nothing else in the underworld, so I didn't really want to go down there just for the single because I don't think there was anything else left. Yeah, because Fey March was cleared. So, yeah, at that point, it's just Moon's should have the goods, and I was just playing percentages.
It played out well for you, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. And to answer the question, by the way, because I tuned in at the very end with the delay, I hate 6 to 10 agility. You guys were wondering why I went ahead and picked up Viridia.
That would do it. 6
agility is between 6 and 10 for anchors. When you with those Zerka strats, every once in a while I notice it can go really weird. I can't explain it except that agility doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure Sumu can go and give us the math, but it's
sure
more trouble than it's worth. So that does explain the Iridia. How did you feel about finding those dark imps at the D-Lunar spot after you did your grind?
Figure might as well get more experience. Yeah, it was one of the... I knew my plan was at that point, because I knew Iridia was sitting there. The only curveball that could have came my way is that if Cecil was at Baron, which is one of the 2 reasons why I went ahead and did the throne as well. Before doing the basement, because I obviously Pass was there and I didn't need to go back up, but I definitely would have gone back up and done a quick one siren grind with Cecil because he would have been catapulted like 40. But for the most part, my plan was set in stone. I knew what I was going to be doing at the end game.
Yeah, you definitely seem very committed to those Berserker strats, and that. Out of curiosity, did you make no plans to go and check that Cole Smith shop because you didn't think it would have anything you want, or you just never feel like it was worth checking?
At that point, there wasn't really much I could get. I mean, I could have got cat claws for Yang, but other than that, there just wasn't a lot that I really needed at that point. Damage was going to be slightly low with those 3 Zerkers, but it was still plenty. It just, again, I don't think there was any point in going down there.
Entirely fair. Any other thoughts on this seed? This was definitely somewhat straightforward in some ways, but not entirely straightforward at the end.
The bosses were really generous. Those are really generous boss placements. I can't complain about a single one. Oh, no, there is one thing. I'm getting tired of not finding cabin.
Yeah, they weren't noticing that. You got a lot of MP growth on your Rosa and had no way to restore it.
Yeah. I've noticed that actually with a lot of the async practice races, I've noticed several times now that cabin's definitely not guaranteed. And that it really became an issue because I didn't have extra tents either. All the tents that I had were tents that I had, which made my grind a little bit slower because I knew I wasn't going to be able to regenerate mana. And then I used the exact number of tents. Just, that's all I had. At that point, I used the last one when I went before Crystal. So, yeah, cabins, don't underestimate them. They're great.
Yeah, that's something I can see. Your opponent did go and do their grind in Cave Bahamut, which, thinking of that, I can see that being a valid strategy so that you can go and get all of your MP growth and then recover all of your MP without cabins.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That is definitely something I'll have to keep in mind when I go and try some of these more seeds as, yeah, cabins. Cabins are nice. Anyways, I will let you go. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on your first place finish in the Swiss round of the Fabul Gauntlet. You only need one more win in order to go and guarantee a spot in the play-ins. How do you like your chances going forward?
I mean, it's just gonna get harder. So, just gotta not lay a stinker.
Sounds good. And you do have 3 chances to go for it, as we have 3 more weeks of Swiss. So I wish you the best of luck.
Appreciate it much. Thanks everybody as always. And yeah, appreciate it.
Good luck in the next round, Dunka.
And with that, we see that Locke has finished Earth Crystal and only getting a Masamune for that, for the edge that he sent packing. Unfortunately, we know that Locke is going to need to go back up to the moon to that Wyvern spot, and I believe that's where Locke needs to go now, as he's finished his checks from the moon.
Yeah, he'll be heading over to the Wyvern spot, because I'm not sure if he did the Pale Dim spot, but that Wyvern spot's definitely got to be calling his name at this point.
Indeed. And to answer a question from chat, do they continue to play if they qualify for the next stage? So you are ranked by your score, so the more wins you have, the better position you will be in the next round. 3 wins is the minimum you need to go and get into the play-in for that stage. So it'll be after these 5 rounds of Swiss, we will go and cut to the best 32 runners. Only in the event of 3-2 ties, we're going to be doing tiebreakers, and we'll do as many tiebreakers as needed for these runners. So there's all the more encouragement to have the best score you can possibly have going into that next round, as the better your score, the less likely you are to go and be going into a tiebreaker race. And not to mention, it will be affecting seeding for brackets, which the lower your score is when you go into the next round, the higher your opponent's score is going to be, as we pair the highest scored opponent against the lowest scored opponent and go in a alternating fashion in that way. So if you're more in the middle of the road, you'll be more against the middle of the road runner, and if you're more at the high end, you'll be against a more low end scored runner, but not guaranteed that you're going to go and get a weak runner, just one who had a weaker score going into this round.
So Locke has made it back up to the moon and is checking the Pale Dim spot and finds Calbrena here.
And discovering a bit of a weakness for his party in the form that he doesn't actually have much AoE damage, so these dolls can be kind of annoying without one good spell to just completely burst them down, where we see a weak coming out as back dolls do not have the boss bit, which makes them immune to things like stop and weak. The front balls do, so you need to kill them manually. If you leave one doll standing, or just one type of doll standing, they will transform into the big doll Calbrena. If you kill both of them fast enough, or all the dolls fast enough, then you will not see the final stage of the dolls.
Yeah, and you really don't want to see Calbrena because that's where the dolls get the most HP, and it just becomes absolutely nasty from there.
Agreed. And with this, it seems very likely that, well, one, Locke is going to almost full clear the seed, and two, Demas is hiding somewhere with a package. Unless this spot gives package. Demas is hiding somewhere with a package.
Yep. You know, I have a feeling that Demas is probably on Giant. Even though King and Queen Evelyn wasn't checked, it would just make sense for Demas to be on Giant.
Excuse me. Chat is correcting me that package was from music, so Demas does not have any key items. It's just hiding somewhere.
Okay.
Which,
Thank
that
you,
means
chat.
that... Yeah, and that means that Cecil is technically in play in the form of either package or giant, but definitely not going to be seeing the seed despite having access to 2 Excaliburs.
That is very, very true.
And considering that we had 2 objectives, that required characters, we had to make surprisingly few boss checks, as both of our checks were pretty much in our routes. Tella was in the Baron Inn, which I don't believe it gave anything terribly important, but it was in the overworld, and it's very hard to go and check. And Chad is mentioning that, yes, Rosa was the double, as we had one from Baron Castle and the second from Tower of Zot. So we have 2 characters left. One was Cecil, and the other was Porum.
And now, Locke is heading towards the right area, going to the Wyvern location, and will soon have that Baron key and be able to truly be in go mode.
Indeed. I wonder if they're going to go and also clear that Baron throne after they defeat Leviathan at the Odin spot, as they might be pretty clued in as to where the pass is.
Do believe so. But the Antlion fight should definitely be a breeze for Locke's party as it is.
Yeah, Locke is definitely very well leveled. His Rosa is at 27 HP, or 2700 HP. Sid is at 4. There is no slouch on this team whatsoever. Granted, with the amount that Locke is cleared, there's a good reason why, but this is definitely a fair amount of damage coming out.
Yeah, it's a very, very good amount of damage coming out overall.
And this bot does have one of, if not the highest physical attack in the game, but our characters can just tank those hits, and Rosa can heal it up with some very, very potent Cure 4s.
And even throw some damage back with some beautiful, beautiful white casts. But with that, Locke will have the Baron key and only have the one location left to go to.
Yep. Locke is ready to go and get to the end of this. I'm sure he's had more than enough fun hunting around the seed and is ready to go and just finish this off. And hey, he learned his last spell on Rosa after he went and completed the Tower of Zot.
Rosa has a complete spell list. Mission accomplished.
And
There was a question posed in chat. Will he get passed for the full 17 of 17?
I believe he's going to pass on something for that 17 of 17. But still, This is definitely a very efficient 100% clear. It's very unfortunate that he decided to go and exit out instead of going to that crystal sword altar. That was just a heartbreaking moment for him, as he goes from having 3 checks on Earth, again, 2 remaining checks on the moon, 1 is down in this awkward location. It's very easy to go and justify just going and checking the other 3 because in aggregate they're going to be faster than the 1, and it just didn't go and pan out.
Yeah, which was absolutely unfortunate.
And if it was the other way around, if it was one of those chains, it would definitely have given Locke a significant advantage. So, not a play I can fault. If you're hour 20 into the seed and looking at the checks you've gotten to and where you've been able to get to and wondering where your opponent's been, it's very easy to think it has to be behind one of these other chains.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, therein lies the bit. It's a really tough call no matter how you look at it, as to, all right, which do I do? Which way do I really want to go? And I mean, truth be told, in this case, in the case that Locke was in, there really is no wrong answer. It's just heartbreaking when the play doesn't work out.
Agreed. And well, here we're going to see some more of the best leg in Final Fantasy before it fades away.
The true leg of Final Fantasy. Because you can't beat how well sculpted Ruby's leg is.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't skip leg day.
No, he does not. That leg probably has power for days.
Yeah, that's definitely got a fair bit of heat behind it, I think.
Spicy.
You saw it's hot, hot, hot.
That was actually going to be my next one, because I was going to say there are multiple hot takes on the leg.
It is pretty steamy.
Sizzling. You could cook an egg on that leg. I didn't mean to actually have that rhyme. That just kind of worked out.
Just like Ruby?
Yeah.
Locke choosing to go and take Fusoya instead of ditching him, so Fu is getting some love this seed.
Rivers, that was a secret to everybody. Oh, but now Locke will have that pass and only have to go defeat the basement throne boss, which is not going to be difficult at all.
No,
Locke's got literally all the levels.
Leviathan looks like he's going to be pretty washed up after this.
He's just going to be the foam after the tide.
He's going to go and be taken out like a soggy dish towel.
That's a new one.
Kind of sneak them in where I can.
This is very true. I mean, he is one of the noodles, so he's about to get cooked. Whoa, that Fu sprite is awesome looking.
Yes, while we are on the topic, all these sprites that you might think, these definitely don't look vanilla. They're not. They're the work of our wonderful dev stream, and this is from our art lead, Scala Kitty. Scala is responsible for all of our lovely alternate palettes, and including the different colors that Fu's eyes flash when he begins casting spells. So if you enjoyed these, give Scala some love. We all love them.
I have never seen this Fu sprite, and I have to say, that is glorious.
Well, with the 4.0 release of the randomizer, in addition to the objective system and a few other changes, we have a whole new season of Fab Palettes, as I believe we saw another new one of Rose's in the Tower of Zot briefly. If you want to see more of them, roll up a few of your own seeds.
And I can definitely say, seeing all the work that's been put into this, you can look back at the previous versions and just go, whoa, this stuff looks absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of great work on this. It's been quite a trip. Not too long ago, we had a race where the developer Boardface went and pulled out the Wayback Wind machine and rolled a seed from one of the initial builds of Free Enterprise, which had a lot of quality of life changes missing. One of which being that it didn't automatically sprint your characters if you played the vanilla game. Notice that we run with a very, very distinct pep in their step rather than the amble that is their normal walking speed. That is the dash function, which Board added in and made automatic. We have no random encounters turned on as a toggleable option, which was not the case in the first form of Free Enterprise, as encounters were left in for everyone to enjoy. There's a lot to see, and if you want to go and see how we've grown, come join us on the Discord, as we have a lot to go and share. We talk about a bunch. If you're interested in going and getting into play of it yourself, there's a link to the Discord on the site, and there's also a newbies channel for just asking, how do I go and approach this? I'm getting stuck on this. I'm lost. How do I approach this? Ask there. Everyone here loves to help.
Yeah, we will help you out as much as we possibly can. This community is one that shows a lot of love to each individual member, and will always be willing to help out new people figure things out and get going from there.
Indeed, and Locke is getting ready to go and take out Garland again, so let's go and give him a good cheer when he finishes the seed, as he unfortunately, with the exception of hunting down Demas wherever that lovely Mist Dragon was hiding, did complete the seed 17 out of 17.
I just love seeing the full tracker. There's something about it that just always gives me that really good feeling. But at the same time, if it's in a race, it gives me that really bad feeling.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful when it's a nice relaxing scene. It's a feeling of absolute dread when it's when it's a race and you're just looking at how far away from first place you were.
Indeed. And since we have Garlandmus on screen again, I, Garland, shall knock you all down. Except he's going to be getting knocked down this time.
It'd be impressive if you can knock people at this level down in Peg, because I'm pretty sure he has trouble knocking down adventurers who are level 5.
He has trouble knocking down adventurers who are level 1.
I never went there at level 1 because I got sick and tired of having all the encounters and started fighting them. Granted, that still took an hour because it's Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, and it likes to go through every script and every description very painfully slow.
Open message box. Close message box.
Black Mage swings. Black Mage misses.
Basically.
Imp swings. Imp misses. Black Belt swings. Black Belt hits. 1 damage.
1 damage, yep. That's about right for a black belt.
Haven't mentioned that I vastly prefer Final Fantasy 4 to Final Fantasy 1.
I think you have.
I believe it's a snappy response time that goes and gets me feeling a bit more warm in these playthroughs.
We've got some reflect strats coming out from Locke.
Locke is deciding he does not want to sit back and watch Garlandmus die. Locke's deciding he wants to sit back and watch Garlandmus fry.
Yeah, Garland's definitely getting fried with some nukes. He's going to be nice and extra crispy.
He is definitely going to feel warm tonight.
I mean, with the background, they've got to be a little close to the sun.
Maybe he's just trying to go and give him a bit of warmth on the cold, cold depths of space.
The endless vacuum.
Honestly, I think the biggest danger to his team is that wall falling off.
Yeah. As of right now, that probably is the biggest thing that may be an issue. Oh, Fu actually makes an attack and misses. Big surprise there.
Yeah, but we did get to see a nice little sprite glitch with the staff going in, generating in the opposite directions it's supposed to.
Get some good damage out from the white rolls.
Yeah, Rosa is definitely packing the power right now. There is nothing slouching about her.
I would say she's bringing the heat, but I don't think the holy spell has any heat that it can bring.
I mean, it's white. It looks like fire. When you go and have something that's hot enough, it burns white. So we can just go and call it heat.
Okay, I can stick with that logic. Ooh, Kane getting dropped to under 100 HP from that big bang. That was a big one.
That is so a little bit of technicals of the Zermus fight. Oh, never mind. We're done with this fight.
Little bit of technical, nope.
There's a little bit of technical knowledge to this. If you do enough damage, Garland falls down.
Basically, get your GGs out for Locke. And we are joined by Locke.
Hello.
GGs, my friend.
GG's. I'm sad. I know exactly what I did and I shouldn't have done.
I can't say you did something wrong. It's just the choices that you made didn't work out this seed, which I have rolled the gamble that you've made and it's gone for me, so I can't go and fault you in the slightest. It is just that, a gamble.
Because it was basically 3 checks versus 2, so I'm like, I'll try and go for the 3. But if I had just gone back to Wyvern spot, it would have been all good. But
yes, that was heartbreaking and unfortunate to see, as you at least gave us music. We did appreciate that.
The Secret of Mana
Secret of
Village
Mana.
music.
yeah.
Yes,
that could. It's got great music.
Thank you, Sonny. I forgot the name of the game.
I got you covered, Baka.
Speaking of cover, how much were you looking for a Cecil when you went and check that hook path?
Pretty. Like, I really wanted a Cecil. I wanted him. I was hoping. I actually, when I first went to the moon, like the first time, I was hoping to find him there. Found Radiant instead, so I was still happy, but I wanted to use that Excalibur.
Yeah, you were the first runner to go and find those 4 objectives, but
Oh wow,
the moon just. The first 4 were definitely pretty. I don't want to call them free, but they were definitely not going to go and nowhere near degree hidden that the Baron key was.
No, I think they're all just honestly free. I don't think anything blocking them was anything difficult.
Well, you had Beigen at Dwarf Castle in the Kelprena spot to Antlion in the Wyvern spot. Granted, with your levels, it's easy to go and say it wasn't terribly difficult, but if you went and approach that sooner, I could definitely see those going and giving you a fair amount of trouble.
Yeah, because they did do a bit of a grind before Beigen and Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, and the worst thing you had on Ordeals blocking Dark Elf with where he was at was Valvalis herself, and that wasn't
fun.
too terribly bad.
I'm so glad I bought those vampires. Oh my god, that fight would have taken forever without them.
Those vampires did save you quite a bit.
Yeah, you went and approached that fight pretty close to the same time that Bigdunka was. It was rather interesting to see 2 teams without Cecil and Tella in their party, though. What I'm sure there's a good answer for this already, but what did drive you to Ordeals at the time that drove you went there?
It was something I could complete, and I was hoping to kind of find the pan there. Even though I had already, I think, at that point, gone through Soph Cave and all that. And I kind of just wanted to see if it would give me a key item for a character afterwards. Because I wanted to at least get a team together, then start a grind.
Very fair. You did find those sirens very early, but chose not to use them, so we were curious about that. Waiting to go and get a better team does make a lot of sense.
Or at least some way to actually kill them faster, because I think at that point we had, Edward, Kane, Yang, and Sid. No real good way to kill a dragon quickly.
Very true. There were no coffins, I believe, were in Eblin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's definitely not your preferred way of dealing with those eggs, and they may only have 2000 HP, but if you're not doing that 2000 HP quickly enough for stopping them, it's going to be a lot more of your HP getting chewed through faster.
Yeah. So I figured I might as well just at least try to find someone that can help with that, which luckily we got Tella like right after that.
Yeah, you went and straight started weaking eggs to go and hit that up, and then you went to Dwarf Castle and then Tower of Za, I believe, or Tower of Babel, Lower Babel.
Yeah, because I just wanted to start knocking out the objectives when I could.
Makes a lot of sense. Were you tempted by a D machine grind when you saw that darkness crystal at all, or did you decide now this doesn't seem worth it?
I didn't really I really wasn't tempted for a D machine grind because I saw the sirens, the hourglasses, and I think at that point that was like my 10th key item. So I figured the King Ryus would be good. Just start knocking some of them out.
Yeah, with the 10 KIs, King Ryu's definitely paid off.
Yeah. I'm mad though because I used my hourglasses on them when I probably didn't need to, and then the two bosses in the moon I could have used them for. The Dark Imps, man. Dark Imps.
Dark Imps were a fair amount of free experience up there, that's for sure.
They were.
And then you also had the Calbrana fight, which you, for having no AoE damage, you tackled that in a very nice manner, I think.
Yeah, I figured they didn't have much health because of the pale dim spot, so I was hoping the white would kill in one hit, which it did, and then just left the one I weaked alone, killed everything else off, then finish it off.
Yeah, and that was a very good and effective strategy. Any other big thoughts that stand out to you on this seed?
Yeah, don't ever berserk your Sid against D-Lunars.
Yeah. Yeah, that poison axe did not do you favors.
No, they burned me real quick.
But it was a poison axe. It couldn't burn you.
Well, they burned me.
I had to get one more in for the night.
Yeah, that's fair. But otherwise, I feel actually pretty good about it. I may have last location things, but I still feel like I played well enough.
I definitely agree with that. So you definitely played well. You had a lead early in the seed, and then just unfortunately the spots you checked didn't work out is what it comes down to. So
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely be seeing, I hope to see you advancing in this tournament. I hope to see more of you coming forward, as there's a lot to see. You do have one win, so you will need at least 2 more wins to get a chance at a play-in. How do you feel about your weeks coming forward?
I'm feeling honestly a little bit better in a sense, because getting that bye in the first week kind of sets me up to just facing anyone that got the first win. It's like, okay. Like, there was a chance to get maybe someone I could match up a little bit better, because I figured at this point Bigdunka, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's very fair. With the first week bye, you're definitely going, and great, I've got a free win. And now I've got to go and face a whole bunch of opponents who are not described as free in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So, I'm actually feeling a little bit better about it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. I, again, wish you luck in the future. I hope to go and see you. Do you have any questions, Sonny?
No, I think you covered all the questions I had, Baka. I just wish you the best of luck as you continue on in this tournament, Locke.
Thanks very much. And
You
yeah,
had
go ahead.
I was gonna say you had a very efficient full clear overall.
Thanks.
Yeah, sub 2 hours for a full clear. That's definitely something that's going. That is definitely something you'll be impressed with.
I need to stop full clearing because I keep doing that because I always check the wrong things. So I'm gonna mix up next week. I got this.
Hey, if you're getting sub 2 hour consistently, then you just keep going where you're going, and you're going to go and start hitting the checks before your opponents.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely thanks for the restream and thank you guys for commenting this. I'll have to watch this back later so I can see what all happened.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy the show as much as we did. We enjoyed putting it on. And as while we're on the topic, let's give another shout out again to our tracker, Maggie the Cat, our restreamer, Johannes Mano, and to Sonny, my co-commentator.
And definitely shout out coming towards you, Baka Shinobi, as
Thank you very
my
much.
commentator. This has been a blast tonight. We got to see two very good runners. One have one of the most efficient full clears I have seen in quite a while.
Indeed. This is definitely...
that was a treat.
Agreed. It's definitely a great race, and I'm sure we're going to be looking forward to having more coming out in the future. There'll be another match coming up tonight at, I believe the next match is starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's either going to be on the Free Enterprise channel, but in the meantime, I believe we're going to be sending some love to our friends at the RPG Valkyries who are in their middle of their marathon for RPGs we love. So we'll go and set them up and say hello to them. And if you stick around with them, give them all your love. If you want to come back and watch more Free Enterprise, they'll be here in just a bit over an hour or half an hour. And with that, I was Baka Shinobi.
And I'm Sonny Wrath 11.
Thank you all for watching, and we hope you have a great evening wherever you land.